Well, the final week of October leads us just 1 week closer to the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York in December. And the battle for the Heisman Trophy is shaping out to be a very, very close race. And tonight on CBS, you'll get to watch Boise State star Ashton Jeanty continue to make his case. He's putting up insane numbers to start the 2024 season. Through just 6 games, Jeanty has run for 1,248 yards and 17 touchdowns. We'll see how many more he can rack up tonight against UNLV. You see kickoff on CBS Sports Network at 10:30. Now, Jeanty isn't the only talented non-quarterback in this Heisman Trophy race. Colorado's two-way star Travis Hunter is up there as well, and recently stirring the pot a little bit last week, saying that it's not like we haven't seen a running back that's good before. Well, Jeanty has since responded to Travis Hunter's comments, saying this: "For me, what I've been doing hasn't been done in 37 years, so that's something special. If I can keep that up and break a record that's been around for 36 years, I feel like you can't really compete with that." So can anyone really compete with Ashton Jeanty for the Heisman Trophy? For the answer, let's turn things over to our own Mackenzie Brooks. Mackenzie.
There are some guys that can compete with Ashton Jeanty, and according to odds makers, we're really down to a 3-man race from what was an 8-man race when you look at last week. Now, in order to have a 100% slam dunk chance of taking this is what we need from Jeanty here. First, he needs to break Barry Sanders' record here, okay? And to us, that's really not impossible. We have him projected to just slightly go over his yards. Now, with that said, in order to get there, you need to make the conference championship game, because that gives him the yards to do so, and it helps Boise State look like a playoff eligible team. So in order to do that, the two things, we give him a 53% chance of pulling off both scenarios, which is better than a coin flip. As far as Ward, as far as the quarterbacks go, this is also a stat award here. You're historically looking for 30+ passing touchdowns, which Ward is on pace to do. So really, his biggest situation right now is making sure he goes undefeated. He does not have a strong strength of schedule. The teams that were supposed to be ranked in his schedule are no longer ranked. So for him, it's about going undefeated through the ACC championship game. We give him around a 22% chance to do so. It is just objectively hard to go undefeated, let alone go undefeated through your conference championship game. So that's what he needs to be a 100% slam dunk, take this award home. As far as Gabriel, he's a little behind in the stat part of this award. So for him, again, it is about going undefeated. And I understand he has some harder teams to play, but when you're slightly behind in the passing touchdown category, you need to make up with it for essentially being perfect through the Big Ten Conference Championship. For him, again, just around a 22-23% chance to do that. So when you take these percentages and you kind of turn that into odds, 53%, we'd set him around -115, okay? Really an odds-on favorite here. We'd set the other two around +450 if we're here estimating, okay? So if you look at actual awards and you look at the odds and you look at the board that they have Jeanty at +200. So technically, there is still value on betting him at -115. You look at the other guys, +200 for Ward, +200 for Gabriel, excuse me, +350. That just doesn't feel right considering how difficult it is to go undefeated. So I do think there is still value with Jeanty. Now, there is a dark horse that's not even on this list. Down in Baton Rouge, Garrett Nussmeier has a ton of Heisman moment opportunities left on his schedule. Odds makers imply he has a 3% chance to win this award. We give him around a 16% chance because you have Texas A&M this weekend and you have Alabama at the end of the year. So someone to look out for a little bit more of a value play here.
All right, thanks so much, Mackenzie. Joining us now for more Heisman talk is our own Chip Patterson. Chip, thanks so much for being here. Jeanty just destroying defenses left and right. He has a legitimate chance to break Barry Sanders' college football all-time rushing record. Yes, sure, he's in a weaker conference. I've heard that. We get it. But put that argument to bed right here, right now, Chip, and tell us why this kid is so special.
Because there's no one in college football who's been able to carry over greatness and commit to it and still live up to those expectations. I mean, Ashton Jeanty was one of the best running backs in the country last season, and he's come right in and automatically exploded for one of the greatest single seasons already that we have seen in the modern era. And so when I think about Ashton Jeanty in the Heisman conversation, one thing that I have continued to come back to is the idea that Heisman voters understand that the Heisman Trophy must much like a Hall of Fame, is a little bit of a museum. And you want to be able to preserve the biggest story of the season, the most outstanding player. And what is more outstanding than Ashton Jeanty going after Barry Sanders' record? Barry Sanders is not just a college football record holder. Barry Sanders is a football, capital F, football icon. And if that record falls at the hands of Ashton Jeanty, well, then we're going to want to celebrate that. Now, in terms of Ashton Jeanty and what he does, because it is not a most valuable player argument, it is most outstanding, but Jordan, he's the most valuable player too, because Boise State has a chance to be that team, that 5th conference champion into the college football playoff. And in doing so, it is Ashton Jeanty carrying the load. They saw a former 5-star prospect quarterback leave to the transfer portal, and they were fine with it because they knew that their star, the one who would carry them to a Mountain West title, was in the backfield at the running back position. Again, we have had so many players that we talked about in July and in August that we thought were going to be stars that have fallen well short of those expectations. Ashton Jeanty has done the thing we don't see often and actually exceeded them. So he's the most outstanding. He's the most valuable, no doubt. And if he takes down that record, then I think Heisman voters will want to do their part to make sure he's remembered forever.
So with all that being said, then Boise State's resume, the level of opponents that they have faced so far this season, that shouldn't really play that much of a factor in his candidacy?
No, I don't think so. This is not an award where we are going through doing strength of record. This is not an award where we're trying to seed a college football playoff. I think strength of schedule is more of a conversation for those types of rankings and those types of slotting and ordering. No, this is something that is entirely intangible. This is an award that is based on vibes and feeling, because Texas A&M was nowhere close to the SEC championship when Johnny Manziel won it. Baylor was not playing for the Big 12 title when Robert Griffin III won it. There are so many examples of these outstanding players being able to win that stiff arm trophy without having to fight that same strength of schedule argument that goes into competing for a national championship. So I'm not of the mindset that what Ashton Jeanty is doing is anything lesser than, because we've got 36 years of great running backs who have had the opportunity against lesser competition and have not done what Jeanty has done.
Yeah, it's been such a fun run to watch. And the Broncos nearly, by the way, upset #1 Oregon thanks to his 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, speaking of Oregon, their quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, in a big game this weekend, that on CBS at 3:30 against Illinois. He has a chance to really make a splash for his Heisman Trophy race. What do you want to see from him?
I want to see more of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And this is not a huge surprise when you remember, transfer quarterback coming in with a new system, an offensive line that had some injuries and they were moving the pieces around. Dillon Gabriel wasn't great in those first couple of weeks. The offense in general was a little bit clunky, just relying on explosive plays. But in that Ohio State game and then a continuation of that against Purdue, Dillon Gabriel is looking more and more comfortable than he's looked all season. So if we consider with this 6th-year senior that it was going to take a little bit to ramp up, now we are starting to see peak Dillon Gabriel. You see Bo Nix on the screen right there? Bo Nix had the whole 2022 season to get warmed up in this Oregon offense before he really exploded in 2023. So I am willing to give a little bit of a curve here for Dillon Gabriel. And for the Heisman conversation, back to, breaking records, Dillon Gabriel, if he's able to continue to just go up with his level of play, then we're going to start to see him flirt with another record. That would be the NCAA all-time career passing yards record, the NCAA all-time career touchdown record. Those records held by former Houston quarterback Case Keenum. If Dillon Gabriel goes down as the NCAA's all-time passing leader, that could be that little extra cherry on top of a Heisman Sunday that gets the Oregon quarterback not just to New York, but but actually winning the award.
Heisman Sunday, cherry on top. I love it. He has a chance this weekend on CBS. That game, Oregon versus Illinois on CBS. Kickoff is slated for 3:30. Okay, well, Ashton Jeanty is the co-favorite right now alongside Miami's quarterback Cam Ward to win the Heisman. Miami with a rivalry week in South Florida, facing a struggling Florida State team at this moment. You know, he has a chance to have some big Heisman moments this weekend. What do you want to see from him?
300 yards and 3 touchdowns, because that's what he's done in every daggum game this year.
Anything less than that, a failure.
Yeah, I mean, first player in Miami history to ever have 7 consecutive games of 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. As you see right there, one of the best statistical profiles in all of college football. And he's also added some of those, big time moments with the way that he played against Louisville with the 25-point comeback against Cal, coming down the stretch, even in some of the closer games this year. I think that this is, for Cam Ward against Florida State, a chance for him to hang a big number. And Jordan, I'm very sorry to inform you of this in case you haven't already thought it through in your head, but Mario Cristobal doesn't kneel. Right? I mean, we made fun of him because he doesn't kneel, but I don't think he's going to take his foot off the gas at all, because in his first game against Florida State as Miami's head coach, Mike Norvell ran it up by a 45-3 final score. So when we've got Miami looking for rivalry revenge after a couple losses in a row, when we've got Cam Ward on a big stage, maybe one of the biggest stages he'll have before the ACC championship game, I mean, there is no reason for them to ever stop being aggressive, and that's what I expect. So minimum 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, because that is the Cam Ward standard. But my expectation is that he could flirt with something disgusting in terms of a stat line.
Great, fabulous. All right, moving on as I continue to say some prayers for my Seminoles. All right, so we talk about all these names all the time, right? But how about some of the dark horse candidates like LSU's quarterback Garrett Nussmeier? You know, he could have a chance this weekend on the road against Texas A&M to really boost his candidacy.
100%. You've got Texas A&M on the road this weekend. You've got Alabama coming to Baton Rouge. You've got the chance to be able to be in the SEC championship game, which, remember, the last memory any Heisman voter will have is of conference championship weekend. And as Garrett Nussmeier continues to be not just a key for this offense, but much like last year's Heisman winner Jaden Daniels, the entire offense, because they're not running the ball particularly effectively, though they have gotten a little bit better. The way that LSU wins is with the Nuss bus just driving it down the field and finding the end zone. So Garrett Nussmeier doesn't have to necessarily match Jaden Daniels' statistics, but a Heisman voter is not going to have to stretch themselves very far to be attracted to an LSU quarterback like in 2019 or 2023, who's putting up a bunch of numbers for a national championship or SEC championship contender. So Garrett Nussmeier has the stages to be able to get it done. Certainly the Ole Miss win was a great start for that, and I am in total agreement with Mackenzie on this one. If you want to look for a name further down the board that has a real chance for his odds to flip in the next couple of weeks, Garrett Nussmeier is the one that I've got my eyes on.
Nussbus riding into Kyle Field, a primetime kickoff between LSU and the Aggies at 7:30. Chip Patterson joining us as we continue to break down this interesting and exciting Heisman Trophy race. That game, primetime, 7:30, but our big game of the week on CBS Sports is in the Big Ten. Illinois at Oregon. We'll see if Dillon Gabriel continues to make a case for his Heisman Trophy odds. That game slated for 3:30 on CBS.